You're doing so well, bro. You are finally staying consistent. You're making progress, eating clean, going to the gym with intensity and consistency. You're finally getting on top of your habits. Maybe you were even making progress in your side hustle to escape your shitty 9 to 5 job that you're not happy with. But look at you now, bro. What the hell happened? You're in a rut. You've fallen off. And now you don't know what the fuck to do and why you got into this little funk. And I get it, bro. This was my life for many years. And full disclosure, I'm not preaching from a mountaintop. I'm not someone who's completely mastered themselves and solved all his problems and now I'm living the dream. No. I'm going through the trenches just like you, bro. I haven't put in enough violently consistent effort for a long enough period of time to build anything significant. But I've made a lot of progress over the years. I've spent damn near half my 20s in an absolute fog of degeneracy. Smoking weed, getting fired from jobs. I got kicked out of college despite being a very smart and talented kid, but with piss poor work ethic. No discipline, no ability to focus and execute. And I spent a very long time in a weed haze of delusion, fantasizing about, one day I'm going to make it, when doing absolutely fuck all about it. And even after I got out of that phase, it took me a long time before I started finally putting in some effort to be disciplined, build my habits, and build myself into someone who maybe one day could make it if he kept leveling up. But even then, I spent like 3 years going through this cycle of finally I'm making progress, building momentum, working towards a goal, maybe escaping the 9 to 5 rat race. Then before I knew it, one thing led to another, one habit slipped, there was no foundation laid of true self-mastery, and before I knew it, I was in a fucking rut again, down bad in the pits of hell, having lost all trust with myself because yet again, I'd given up. I'd fallen off slowly and gradually. I had let the chaos back in. And every single time it got worse because the fucking belief in yourself that you destroy every single time you get off the path and don't get straight back on again, but rather just slowly deteriorate. Man, there is no worse pain for an ambitious, driven man. And it honestly felt like a curse. There have been times where I literally thought I'd spend forever like this, that I'd never have what it took to make any consistent positive change in my life, that I would be a complete loser forever. And recently, I've fallen off again. I don't know if you could tell with my content, but I've been inconsistent. I've been sort of going through the motions, half-arsing shit. Way more discipline than before, but still not enough. Nowhere close to enough to who I need to become in order to achieve my goals. And it all started slowly deteriorating when I went to Thailand. You see, before that, I documented the entire journey on my YouTube. I did my first ever bodybuilding show. I got absolutely shredded, started feeling insanely high frequency, gain some violent clarity about what I want to build and the steps I need to take. Also, I thought. I went off to Thailand with some vague goal of, I'm going to build my brand, build my business, and not have to come back to the UK. Guess what, bro? I fucking failed. Here I am, I'm back in the UK, and I have to rebuild from ground zero. And that's fine, because that's exactly what should have happened because of the actions I took. There's a direct cause and effect with every single input you do. I went to Thailand with a vague plan, vague goal, and even worse, no guidance. I didn't go there with a proven daily process that I got from someone who's already walked the walk of what I want to do and just follow it consistently and relentlessly. Man, if I'd spent the money I used to live in Thailand for 3 months and I just put that into a mentor who could, help me get to a full-time online business, fuck me, bro. I'd be in Thailand right now and I wouldn't have to come back. But that's not the point. The point is I fell off. I let one thing slip. The first thing that set it off was not sticking to a consistent early morning wake up, early morning routine. That made everything fall apart because I started wanting to live a balanced life, I'm in Thailand, I need to go out and chase women at night and fucking have pointless, meaningless, stupid conversations because I'm enjoying life. And I smoked weed in Thailand, despite promising myself I never would again. I started bulk coping, where I was focused on the weight on the scale rather than, just the physique. I was eating, stuffing my face with clean, healthy food. That is still a problem if you overeat it. I was absolutely indulging in easy pleasures and vices, despite also trying to make content to present myself as a leader, as an authority in the fitness and self-improvement space. And I ended up fucking losing the plot big time. I ended up falling off, losing myself, losing the purpose. And ever since coming back, I felt like a bit of a failure and I haven't been going all in. The second I returned, I told myself it's time to lock the fuck back in again, start waking up early, going back to the fundamental foundations that always set everything off, but there's still something missing. I didn't have this deep fucking rooted connection to my purpose because I was still half-assing shit. You've seen it. I've been putting out content here and there. It hasn't really been consistent. It's been a bit low frequency. I've been trying to perform way too much. Overthinking, stumbling over my words. And I still haven't, I wasn't able to reach the internal state that I knew would make me undeniable because I was half dialed in. I wasn't putting in 100% effort. I was maybe putting in, 60, 70% effort. And the difference between 60, 70% and 100% is not 30, 40%. No, it's like 20,000%. Because when you half-ass something, you don't get half results. You get 0.1% results. And that's not an exaggeration, man. So since coming back, I've kept cope bulking, where I just want to get big, I want to get bulky, I want to get jacked and strong. But being an impatient little brat, I was like, oh no, I need to get to 100 kilos as quickly as possible. And the closer I got to that, the more I realized, bro, you've gone soft. You look like shit. You have low frequency. And, this is a convenient excuse to not be dialed in with your nutrition. Eat more dates and rice and bananas than you should and just get fat because you're overeating carbs and sugars. But this last week has been a game changer. I finally started to operate like more of the savage I know I'm capable of. This last week, I won't lie, I've been getting a bit sleep deprived. Average is about 5-6 hours a night because I've taken on more work. I've decided to work longer hours at my job because I need to. I need to save up as much money as possible to get out of my shitty financial situation, all the debts I've accumulated, while also investing into a mentor who will help me with the skills and knowledge I need to get to the next level. And so, while doing this and waking up at 4 a.m., dialing in my habits, my training, my meal prep, my writing, growing on LinkedIn and shit, trying to get clients, it hasn't resulted in optimal 8 hours of sleep, I can tell you that. But nonetheless, I've still started to feel incredible again. I've started to get into a high frequency because now I'm finally pushing myself again. I'm growing. I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm not doing, the bare minimum to say that I'm disciplined because, I'm above average. No, I'm actually fucking starting to push again. And it feels incredible. I'll tell you that. Nonetheless, things happen, right? Shit can't always be perfect. And today, I woke up especially tired because all of the lack of sleep has been accumulating slowly but surely. And I woke up and it just felt fucking brutal. I did my morning routine, which definitely improved my energy. When the alarm went off, the grogginess was insane. All I wanted to do was just roll over, get right back to sleep. But I knew that shit had to get done. So I did my morning routine. I started writing my LinkedIn post, and it took me so much longer than it had to. It was so much more friction because the words were just not flowing. When you're tired and shit just is harder. But to counteract this, I finished my post and I decided I'm going to reward myself with some coffee, even though I now know that caffeine is not a performance enhancer. It's just a dirty hype creator that makes you more chaotic, more erratic. Nonetheless, I pounded a double espresso and I got back to work. I started typing on my computer, and for about an hour, I was starting to feel hype, starting to feel focused and in the flow state. But that quickly wore off, and I decided, now it's time to go to the gym, so let's eat my pre-workout meal. And I made a crucial mistake because while I was eating, I was on LinkedIn, getting back to DMs. And fuck me, bro. I got sucked into a rabbit hole of a doom scroll. Because it's LinkedIn and it's not TikTok brain rot, I sort of justified it in my head. Even though I knew it was cope and I knew that this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, I got sucked down a rabbit hole of watching a guy called Julio, who's a cold caller. He does very entertaining videos where he records his sales calls, and I was just like, I'm learning, even though it's completely fucking irrelevant to me. It was just entertainment, cheap dopamine. And I knew, while I was doing it, I was like, bro, this isn't good. Go to the gym, shut the fuck up, turn it off, go to the gym. And, as time went on, I ended up sucking about an hour of my time into this doom scroll. And as you perfectly well know, whenever you get sucked into consumption, you feel like shit. Immediately. After 5 scrolls, you already start to think, these negative thoughts, the doubt starts creeping in again. You start comparing yourself to others. start thinking, oh, what's the point? Oh, I'm just a useless loser after all. And then, that started making me go into a bit of a negative slump. But I ended up saying, fuck this shit. It's time to get back into momentum. If this was the old me, I would have 100% just written off the rest of today. Oh, it's just going to be another low day. I'm already in a low mood. I might as well keep consuming because the day's over anyway. I've ruined my focus. I've ruined my flow state. Oh, what's the point? I'm just going to fucking mope around, half-ass the rest of the day. No. I decided to implement my momentum recovery protocol, which is getting back into motion, doing the lowest hanging fruit, the most simple of tasks. Because I had fried my brain power and my execution ability of focus by, consuming lots of content, I just disrupted my flow state. And rather than sitting back down on my computer, doing some studying, I knew that physical activity, pushing yourself, is the best way to get back into momentum. So I procrastinated. I won't lie. Usually I wouldn't put it off that long, but I only ended up going to the gym at about 1 p.m. because it's leg day. It's the most skippable of days. It's what you look forward to the least because you know that there's going to be some serious pain and suffering incoming. But I ended up just saying, fuck it, enough is enough. No more mentally masturbating. No more sitting down trying to work while my mind is a mess. No, time to train. And let me tell you, I unleashed a savage beast today. I definitely pushed to a threshold that I haven't really felt in a while. I think because, the caffeine definitely helped with that. But it was a great session. It was enough to raise my frequency very, very highly. I was social. I spoke to some people, I actually had an interesting interaction with a middle-aged man who I helped figure out how to use the hyperextension. I coached him a bit, and it was enough to get me back into a state where I was like, oh shit, the day's not over. I can actually turn on the camera and make a video. And it's not just an incoherent ramble because I've actually planned it out what I'm going to talk about. Man, it's so much easier to get back into momentum and not fall off if you catch yourself the moment it happens, rather than letting yourself go back down to another spiral, into just another period of stagnation and slump. And let me tell you, it's so much harder to do if you don't have the right self-awareness. When you have no control over your thoughts and feelings, where when you start going down this negative self-talk rabbit hole, you have no way to overcome it and snap right back into flow. It's hard to know what to do when you don't have this level of self-awareness. And let me tell you, I've been meditating 20 minutes a day for a very long time now. It's been months since I've made meditation a consistent practice, and that has helped massively. But why does this happen? Why do we go through this period of momentum and then stagnation? Up and down, yo-yoing forever. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, it's because we start feeling like the man. We start making progress, gaining some traction. This makes us feel a lot better about ourselves because we're finally starting to run away from the pain of being completely motionless down in the dumps. But here's what happens. We start getting comfortable. We start getting complacent. We start letting just one tiny habit slip. And then that leads to another, and then another, and then another. And then before we know it, boom, we're right back in the pits of hell. Pardon me. But even worse, because we've lost trust with ourselves yet again. And every single time this happens, it becomes more and more and more depressing. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to start back up again. So I'm telling you, bro, start catching yourself. Or I'll be honest, the best way to live is having the exact same habits on repeat every single day, no matter what, never falling off track, just consistently compounding exponentially. But I know that that's an insanely high standard. And while we're still getting to that point, we have to learn that it's not about how many times we fall off. It's about how quickly we just snap right back on track. And to be honest with you, a lot of the high performers that you see and you admire, they still fall off, but the difference is they fall off not for days, weeks, months. They fall off for minutes, sometimes even seconds, and then just snap right back to it. So that's really the key here. The key is that, you know, when you start building some progress and feeling good about yourself, you don't use that as a reason to get comfortable and start saying, oh yeah, I'm finally getting somewhere, I feel good about myself. No, you have to make that the minimum acceptable new standard. Use that as the floor, the absolute baseline for what you will tolerate. And to do that, you have to tie it in with your identity. Rather than focusing on, you know, the habits, the actions that, you know, this new behavior represents, like actually focus on who the hell it's making you. The best way to do this is to set yourself a vision for what you want your life to look like, and the man who's going to make it happen, and then use that as an anchor to set those standards. Because let me tell you, bro, that man is so far above you, so it's far above me. So I have so much more work to do before I become that guy. But nonetheless, every single time you set that standard and you actually tie it into your identity, it becomes so painful when you slip up that, you know, you get right back to it super quickly. So yeah, bro, fucking recover that momentum as soon as you can and start with the lowest hanging fruit. Don't try to slay the 100 level dragon when you've regressed back to level 1, because he's going to one-shot you every single time. No, start small. Start slaying the little tiny goblins, those little fuckers that, you know, don't take that much effort, and then just stack those tiny little micro wins day in and day out, and before you know it, bro, you're right back on top of the world. But this time, you're not going to get comfortable, are you? You're not going to get complacent. You're going to set this as the minimum acceptable standard. And one very important thing you have to keep in mind is that you have certain trigger habits that when, you know, you do them, they're the chain reaction that set off everything else. You have good trigger habits and you have bad trigger habits. For me, and probably for you, for most people, a really, really good trigger habit that you can always rely on is those early morning wake-ups. And then from there, you build a morning routine, you start ingraining those habits into the rest of your life, you start building more discipline throughout your nutrition, your training. Then before you know it, yeah, you're getting there. But that's not enough. You have to set that as the standard and then keep building upon that. But let's talk about the bad trigger habits, because there's always a vice. There's always a vice, man. There's always an addiction that you know you have that is the thing that's holding you back the most. For a very long time, for me, that was weed. Man, it absolutely robbed years of my life. Now, that trigger habit is consumption, watching content, going down rabbit holes where I pretend that I'm educating myself, but in reality, I'm just mentally masturbating. And another trigger habit for me right now is caffeine, because once I get that hit, that little oomph, that hype, it makes me want to seek more stimulation. And What's the best form of stimulation when, you know, I don't watch porn, I don't play video games, I don't smoke weed anymore? What's the best form of stimulation? Well, it's pulling out my phone, rotting my brain with some content. So be very, very self-aware of your trigger habits, because let me tell you, bro, they're the hardest to get over, but they're also the most important. They're the highest leverage, biggest ROI thing that you can focus on. So recover your momentum, bro. I know it's hard to get started. I know that you feel like, oh, it's gonna be so boring and long. Yeah. Apologies for the interruption, bro. My phone died on me, but what was I saying? That's right. It's time to get back into momentum. You have to lower the barrier of entry, do the lowest friction possible task to get right back into motion. Stop thinking about the big, you know, massive goals, all of these, you know, scary visions. No. Just stop the bitchy little negative self-talk when you fall off. Oh, I'm such a loser. Oh, I can't even be disciplined. I can't stay consistent. No, cut all that out. Just be like, okay, I fell off. Oh, well, back to it straight away. No self-pity. Just get back into violent consistency. That's the only way to do things, bro. And that's exactly what we're gonna work on together. I'm gonna keep showing up, because enough is enough. I can't keep half-assing this shit. I can't keep having this vague, wishy-washy stuff. No, it's time to be there for my bros. Set a new baseline, bro. Build on top of that. Don't lower your standards. Let's go. Goodbye.